You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
iWalter. Hey, it's iWalter. It's Walter again, and I'm going to try to do a show. Unfortunately, my voice is not quite where I want it to be, but I'm going to try to struggle through tonight. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning right now. Yeah, I mean, I always have a lot to complain about, so I figured I'd get this out. It was funny, actually, in my local newspaper, the Times Herald, Norristown Times Herald. It was in, I believe, well, it says posted the 27th, which was yesterday. Oh, it's updated 2 hours ago, though, so it was around 1 o'clock in the morning they updated this article, and it said automotive accidents, and it said in Pennsylvania State. Now, this was on Memorial Day, and it doesn't surprise me, folks, because I tell you, there's a lot of idiot drivers, and me and my one friend Todd always complain about this. But it states that, the title is, Pennsylvania State Police respond to 718 crashes statewide over Memorial Day weekend. I mean, I'm not surprised. I really am not. There's a lot of freaking idiot drivers. Most of them are texting while driving. Now, I can't really say much. I've done it, not text it, but, try to look for things on my phone because I have Bluetooth in my car. My one friend got a traffic violation ticket. He was actually not going that fast. He was going, I think, 15 to 35 or something. And it was like, dude, I'm surprised they didn't let you go. But he got a ticket. He just paid it, he said. Anyway, yeah, this was on Memorial Day. I apologize about my voice, folks. But it says Pennsylvania State Police had a busy holiday weekend after responding to more than 700 crashes statewide. I mean, that is crazy. Total state police responded to 718 crashes over Memorial Day weekend, which resulted in 247 injuries, 13 fatalities, and 62 of the crashes were reported to involve alcohol, according to the press release. I mean, I don't know. And, I mean, it just continues, and I said this before, and I still believe this. California is not the only place you got a bunch of deadbeats that are just sponging off the government. And they act like, well, Pennsylvania is not the same, and you can say there's a lot of people from out of state that were visiting, but I beg to differ. I think there's just a lot of people to work. You could get up. I mean, the one day I had to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go catch my family doctor, before he closed at 9 a.m., and it was only 15 minutes down the road, but it almost had taken me an hour to get there because of all the traffic. So, I mean, there's traffic at 8 o'clock in the morning, folks, around where I live. There is traffic at noontime. There is traffic at 2 o'clock. There is traffic at 7 o'clock, because when I was sick, when I could get the energy to go out of the house, what did I do? I wanted to go drive somewhere just to get out. And it was physically impossible because of traffic. And if people have jobs, you wouldn't be hitting all that traffic. You would have some downtime. You don't have any downtime around here. It is constantly tons of traffic, tons of people on the road, and they're not going to a job, trust me. And they play a lot of games. I have to cough for a minute, so I'm going to point away from my mic. This is going to be an ongoing issue for me until this cold, or bronchitis clears up, which is going to be a long time. Hey, I read something. I hope it's true almost. I've been asking for this for a long time, but this was on comicbookmovie.com. It says Chris Pine in talks to play Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman. You know, Steve Trevor was Diana Prince's boss, basically. So it's just a food for thought kind of thing, I guess. Anyway, Chris Pine, I believe, is the gentleman who played in the Star Trek movies as Captain Kirk. So it would be kind of interesting. I do want to see a decent Wonder Woman movie. I'd actually like to see another, something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I really miss that show. I used to love that show. Yeah, so, and folks, it's still continuing on, unfortunately, but every time I mention it, it's like another post, and now that I mention it, I'm sure I'm going to cause myself bad karma, and there will be some more. But this was on, it says CBC News, and it was a video on the Suicide Squad movie, and it seems like it's unfortunately going to become true that possibly Batman's going to be in the movie, because they keep on showing this Batmobile, which looks freaking awesome. But again, my main concern is, they're just showing every frame of the freaking film. And I was hoping Ben Affleck wouldn't be, dumb enough to actually do a cameo in this film, because this movie is going to be really bad, and it's just going to make it even worse. Because I think some people are not satisfied or pleased to see Ben Affleck playing, Batman. I have no problem with it. I think the man's kind of matured over the years, and I think he'll do a fine job, an excellent job, a good job. But if he puts his foot into this horrible movie that it looks like it's going to be, of Suicide Squad, I'm really praying that he is, and I'm hoping they get somebody else to play Batman. Anyway, it's funny. It's been driving me crazy, which is a short drive, but they keep on talking about this Supergirl pilot leak. So I finally broke down. I broke my sobriety, and I checked on one of these torrent sites, and lo and behold, it was there, different copies of it. Because I read that the Supergirl is not going to come out until November, and it's really intrigued me now. It's okay, I got to see how good or bad it's going to be. Apparently, the girl who plays Supergirl was actually in Glee, which I really liked that show years ago. I watched the first couple seasons. I actually went to a Glee concert in Philadelphia. And it was funny because the irony is I got the football jersey for Glee, because I didn't want a regular T-shirt. I was like, what, the jersey looks pretty cool. And this is way before that one guy on the show committed suicide. I was like, wow, this thing has got to be a collector's item now, because I think he was actually at the one in Philly. He was at the Glee concert, because they didn't have the whole cast. They had some of them. And this is the first couple seasons, when it was first started out. But it was really cool. It's just, it's a shame that guy actually committed suicide, though. So I apologize. I just keep on sniffling, too. Anyway, I just pulled this up tonight. I was kind of curious about it, so I figured I'd just throw it in the mix. But it states that Stan Lee is now the highest grossing movie producer of all times at the domestic box office. Hey, I mean, that's great for the man, because I think he got really screwed over with his comics, and he made a lot of the ones that people now watch as movies, and the man got nothing for what he put all his effort into. Unfortunately, the man's in his early 90s, I guess. So, I mean, I kind of feel bad. He looks great, though, I think. I think he looks just as good as he did when he played in Kevin Smith's Mallrats. I mean, to me, he looks pretty much the same. And that was a long time ago. So, I mean, more power to him. I just kind of feel bad. But, hey, he's doing what he really likes. And I think by him doing these movies, actually kind of keep him lively and looking in the way he does, which he looks really good. Hey, it was funny tonight in my emails. I got something from this website, which I didn't know how they got a hold of me, but I'm kind of glad they did. And it's called, it's not coming up now. Anyway, it's called bandsintown.com. I swear to God, it's called bands, like musical bands, intown.com. And they send me the link through an email because they said, oh, Miley Cyrus is coming back to Philadelphia September 16th. I was like, wow, she was just here. So obviously the woman she's not a kid anymore, so I'm going to call her a woman. She is probably waste all her money on drugs and partying, so she's now desperate. So anyway, I went there. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, because I bought a ticket for her. I was hoping she'd kind of snap out of her, goofy ways. When she didn't, I was like, I forget, I'm going to sell the ticket. So it's like a second chance. I doubt she's changed, so it would be kind of a waste. But they said, oh yeah, she's coming back to Philadelphia this winter, I guess, or fall, or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, I went there, and it was a bunch of like different bands that are playing within, the Philadelphia, Jersey area. And one of them I mentioned to a friend was Rob Zombie. I was like, wow. He's playing at this place called the Starland Ballroom. It says June 6, 2015, which isn't that far off. And it says Saverville, New Jersey. I've never heard of it. I obviously probably said it wrong, too. But anyway, it sounded pretty cool. There was a couple of cool bands that were in there in that mix. And it was like, wow. I'm kind of glad this place found me, I guess. So anyway, there was that. There was a story, thank you, Todd Thomas, he sent me. I'm not going to read it, but it says, police make example of homeless man begging for money, basically. He's begging for money, but yet he has $800 in cash in his pockets. And it looks like it says, I don't know if that's Louisiana or L.A., because L.A. could mean either or. I think it might actually be Louisiana. Yeah, but yeah, my friend said, yeah, maybe I better just grow a gray beard and I could probably beg for money and just live off of sponging money off of people, begging like a homeless person. So the guy was 59 years old. His name was Franklin Jones. Yeah, and he's begging for money in an intersection. Yeah, he's got his pockets filled with tons of cash from doing so. So my guess is it might be Louisiana, because it's otherwise it was California. It would say LA/CA, I guess. So that was pretty funny. His brother actually responded to that one. Again, I'm sorry for the sniffles. One that was actually kind of interesting I found myself was on myfoxphilly.com, and somebody got went out to eat, and their bill was $93, but yet they left a $2,000 gratuity tip, which was really cool. Obviously, probably it was somebody who felt bad for a certain person, because it doesn't go into much detail. It says in Washington, and it says, if you ever worked in a restaurant, you appreciate the act of generosity. And it says the staff at Blue 44 Restaurant, located at 5507 Connecticut Avenue in Northwest D.C., the person got a huge surprise from a regular customer on Memorial Day. So they got the people bought a meal for like $93, and they left a tip for $2,000. So obviously they must have knew this person for a while, and they felt like they need to go out, and they actually show the receipt from the restaurant, and it does say the tip that was given was $2,000. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I like when I read stuff like that. There was actually something funny, and it's like a little commercial, and it says Kenobi. And it's a little video. I stole it off of somebody else's website. But it shows these like valley girls, self-absorbed girls. And they're driving down the street in their car. I don't know if it was like a Volkswagen Beetle or whatever. And they got those selfie sticks for their cameras. and they're taking pictures of themselves, and they're not paying attention, and they run over these little girls with a lemonade stand and almost run some guy off their bike, and they're like giggle and laughing, not at the people they almost killed, but giggle and laughing like, oh, I'm taking a picture of myself. And it is freaking hilarious. I mean, it's the funniest thing I've ever saw. I mean, it was close to almost making me piss myself. It was that funny, I thought. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. It's on my Facebook page. But, yeah, there was another article from comicbookmovie.com, and it says possible Elektra audition tapes for Daredevil Season 2 find their way online. So, I was kind of like speculating certain characters in Season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, who could be the potential character to turn into Elektra. I kind of would like to see that too, but I don't know. Hey, I have to think it was on my one Facebook friend / person I met before, Ryan's website, or one of his friends. But it was this was an interesting article, so I had to steal from one of Ryan's friends' web pages. And it's kind of like a little disturbing too. But it was on ultimateclassicrock.com, and it's titled Former Scorpion bass player admits to attending snuff parties. And there's a video too. The guy said he didn't do it deliberately, but he did stumble into a party that it was a snuff party. And you're probably asking, what do you mean by snuff? Because snuff means basically gagging, torturing, and killing people for somebody else's entertainment. And that's exactly what he basically had mentioned. He said, yeah, it got pretty gross. And he said, like, I think his name is Rickerman. He said people paid up to $100,000 to attend this snuff party. I mean, like, literally, it was in Germany, too. So, I guess the whole thing is you shouldn't be surprised. But, snuff is something that, snuff movies are something that supposedly could exist, but it's for people who obviously have more money than they know what to do with it. So they find ways of getting entertained. And it's something like, if you get caught, obviously you're going to get arrested, probably sent to jail, and probably even yourself get sent to, the electric chair or something. Because, I mean, that's beyond illegal. I mean, that's just, that's inhumane. But this guy, he didn't do it intentionally. He did it unintentionally. But he actually said he found himself at a snuff party. It was like, I've never heard of snuff parties before. I've heard of snuff films, but snuff parties aren't any better, trust me. So that was pretty interesting. I got picked on from a friend because I told him I gave some cash to this poor woman. I felt really bad. This lady named Rachel, who is suffering from anorexia nervosa. Because I mentioned to him that I did date a girl. Her name was Wendy Jones, because it doesn't matter. Nobody knows who it is. This was like 30 years ago. And she was a really cute girl, and she did suffer from anorexia. Now, I didn't date her that she was skinny, but she wasn't like to the point that you look like skin and bones. But she was awfully skinny, and she was a really cute girl. And I dated her for a while. I didn't know, at first that she had anorexia, and I think that kind of stuck with me. And when I saw this story about this woman named Rachel, who had, anorexia, and she was asking for help, it's like, okay, well, you know what? I hate to say it, I'm going to be right there. I'm not going to turn the other cheek. And she basically posted on GoFundMe, so I definitely gave some money to that. I actually gave money to that one drag queen that was on RuPaul last year. He lost the contest, and I really liked him. I thought he was going to win. I'm trying to think of his name. But, yeah, I gave money towards, him trying to produce this album. And it was like, dude, I'll give you a couple bucks. I gave him like $10. And Courtney Act is his stage name. He really looks like a woman, too, when he's in makeup. When you see him out of makeup, he just looks like an average guy. He doesn't look anything special, but in makeup, he really looks like a woman. And his voice, I mean, at first, I kind of can tell now because you hear him talk enough. You can kind of tell even when he's in his stage get up that it's actually a guy. But if you just looked at pictures of him, you would probably not be able to tell. So, Courtney Act, I gave I think $10 to that too. Or actually, I might have gave $25 because you get a free copy of his CD. And it's like, dude, I would probably give more if I had the money. I don't. Because he actually gave like $50. I think you could actually, if you're willing to travel to New York, you could actually hang out with the dude. And it was like, that would be kind of cool, but I honestly can't afford that. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but to me it is. So anyway, tonight I'm truly sticking to my monologue of that. I'm just basically talking about nonsense, and mainly because I just don't have any voice. It may sound all right, but trust me, once I get off this mic, I'll start probably hacking again. That being said, there's not much for me to say. I just had to mention mainly why I wanted to do my show was I was just not surprised. It's just nice to see it written in black and white with these goofy drivers. I mean, I've been having a nightmare at work where my job, you got all these people who are working a plethora of overtime, and they act like, I hate to say it, but they act like they deserve it. Like they're entitled to this. And it's like, you know what? You're doing this because of your own selfish greed. Don't put it any other way. And unfortunately, I'm getting, not that I want any, but I'm getting like absolutely no overtime where I work. 0. And yet I'm getting 7-fold of work to do while they sit on their ass doing very little. And unfortunately, some woman got hurt the other day at my job, severely hurt. And I felt bad about that. But that is a rare case for me to feel bad about anybody getting hurt at work. Because trust me, when you got people working 7 doubles in a row, and the amount of work I do within less than 40 hours is 9 times more than they're doing in 90 hours, I really have 0 sympathy for most people like that. And there's enough people that would probably, they could probably hire. They just don't want to pay the benefits. That's the bottom line. That's the way I see it, and I hate to say it, that's what I think what's going on. So, again, I have very little sympathy for people, minus this woman who got hurt at work. So I just hit a red line in a certain spot. I must have been too close to the mic. Anyway, folks, I probably bored you enough. So I promised I was going to keep these shows short. So I know I basically talked about a lot of nonsense, but hopefully you kind of enjoyed it. And in another 2 weeks, as I mentioned last night, I'll be going down in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial to see, don't ask me why, but Taylor Swift. I went from ministry to Taylor Swift. That's crazy. And everything in between. So I used to love doing the meet and greets with these kids. I think it was embarrassingly funny, but at the same time, it was definitely entertaining. Some of those kids are really talented, so I don't, put it past them to kind of give them a couple bucks to see them. Anyway, folks, I am just babbling on at this point, so have a good night and enjoy your Thursday morning. Have a good one. I'm signing off.